Ho, ho, ho. Isn't it great to be alive on a Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. that is Eastern time, man, with your boys reporting eligible, man. I am your host, Berto, joined by my guy, Bro Talk. Like I mentioned, we are reporting eligible, man, trying to bring you the hottest and latest topics that's surrounding our Atlanta Falcons. And Bro Talk, man, before we get into any topics, man, how have you been, my friend?
Been good. Been kind of quiet for a little bit, and then the reports came in, and we're gonna get into it. But I've been good overall. Kind of chilling in my real life. Big moment. Oh, actually, gotta highlight my almost 3-year-old son used the potty for the first time tonight. So round of applause.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, sir. That's a milestone for all you parents. You know it, Berto.
Oh, I if I reveal the way that I taught my son, oh boy. Cheerios are just, they're just godsend. I just threw them in the toilet and I said, dude, just aim for them.
That's great. That's great. I applaud that. Creativity. Love it.
Hell yeah, man. But hey, man, listen, shout out to the folks in the chat that are storming in, man. Dwayne Ruffin, our brother from sunny SoCal. What is going on? Mama Torres is in the house, man. This your mommy. Tony Wright, what is popping? What is going on? Cool as Dre, what's going on? Justin Swisher Sweets is in the house, man. He says, what's up, Berto? Who's your pick at 15? We will touch on that in a few minutes. And the unks of unks, Louis Algier, a.k.a. Dirty Lou, is in the house. Jones Bones is in the house. He caught it on time. The last time he popped in on us, he was late, damn it. He was late. T. Terry, what's going on?
You know why he's here. Offensive linemen are on the thumbnail. Offensive linemen are on the thumbnail.
Oh, yeah.
Advocate for O-line. It's Jones Bones.
He sure is. And a great advocate at that. And like many of you guys that tune in every Wednesday night at 9:30, man, when we are available to do these shows, obviously personal life sometimes takes us away, unfortunately. Southside Ricky, what is going on? But like we mentioned at the top, man, some smoke and mirrors for these Atlanta Falcons regarding the 15th overall pick in this year's draft, which is 2 weeks away, ladies and gentlemen. And offensive tackle has been a thing in Flowery Branch. Falcons obviously holding and conducting private workouts with Calvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle from Texas. Also, what's his name? Josh Cornerly. Yeah, Josh Connerly Jr. as well from Oregon as well, coming through the branch. And I guess the Falcons are doing their due diligence, but is there something more there that we should be paying attention to? Could the Falcons do the unthinkable at 15 and really just wreck the lives of all of us Falcon faithfuls, man?
So I don't think they could do it at 15, honestly. Mm-hmm. I think they're doing their homework. If you remember 2019, we were around the same pick. I think we were 14 when we took Chris Lindstrom, right? And what did we do towards the end of the first round? We traded back with the Rams. Took Caleb McGarry, someone that's been a topic of late that we're trying to get ready and prepare to replace, right? Caleb McGarry I think he gets a little bit more hate than he deserves. Great run blocker, still has the same issues coming out of college when it comes to pass protection, his footwork, his punch, his leverage, what have you. But overall, he's been a good player. It would be wrong for the Falcons not to do their homework on a position that potentially needs to be replaced by next season, right? Mm-hmm. The Falcons were given grief, right? They had a quarterback come draft time. They took a quarterback. Well, guess what? The luxury we had last year became a need in the middle of the season. You could see that happen again. Caleb McGarry struggles. Michael Penix is getting walloped by his blind side. Guess what? If they take a tackle at the end of the first round, or Terry does his notorious trade up to get one of the guys that falls, you plug them in. You could redshirt them, right? Caleb walks, right? He signs with another team, and now you don't even have to worry about it next round. Guess what you could do next year? Continue to add the defense.
Exactly. Right, and this is a loaded draft, right? And defensive prospects speaking, but these offensive tackles, I would say after Cornley Jr. Does it dip a little bit? Your top guys, Will Campbell, Amar Membu from Missouri. Those are your two top dogs there. Calvin Banks, Josh Cornley, and even Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. Those guys round out. There is a little bit of a dip, and that was my argument today on Bleacher Report, 6:00 p.m. every Wednesday on the Bleacher Report. I went live and I talked about this very same topic. And to your points, right, we got to start thinking about the future, and more importantly, so at that right side, which now becomes spot number one, prime number one. That is now the blind spot, and for all the problems that we've known for McGarry to have, obviously he's been turning his game around as of late, in the past game. Got to give him some flowers, not a full slate of them. We can always count on him in the run game as a mauler. Him and Chris Lindstrom, I think the right side, probably the best tandem across the NFL. But looking ahead, we walk away from the Caleb McGarry contract. We bring in one of these draft prospects, redshirt him, like you said. That's so intriguing. Redshirting plays. That's a luxury the Falcons haven't been able to have, right? But you could do possibly that with one of these guys. Now, at 15, like you mentioned, maybe not. Now, is there maybe some I don't know, maybe some want from another team to possibly jump up and do business with that land? I think if we drop a few spots, we can still land one of these guys. So, I look at the tackle needier teams, maybe the Seahawks at 18. Hell, even 10 picks later, the Texans can make a monumental jump 10 spots to take a guy. This is a team that has gutted their offensive line. Could the Falcons actually entertain it to their advantage? Take offensive tackle a little bit later, but continue to build the defense, as you mentioned, not just next year, but even in this year with the compensation we get in return.
So I think you could get teams like the Cardinals, even if it's dropping one spot, the Bengals 2 spots, or even the Steelers at 21 for not offensive tackle, but defensive tackle. A lot of guys could be falling, like Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan. Those guys could be luxury picks because the Cardinals are in desperate need for a true 0-3 technique. The Bengals need their defensive line bolstered. Hell, the Steelers, even with an aging Cam Hayward, who's still playing at a Pro Bowl level, need to get ready to replace him. So you could take advantage of teams like that. Just like you said, offensive lineman, someone that's there like a Donovan Jackson, Josh Simmons. If he starts slipping, Kelvin Banks. I honestly don't think we take one in the first round offensive lineman. Just to go back to that point, there are a couple guys I want to highlight that we could trade up for. Ariante Ursary out of Minnesota.
Massive. That's a mammoth.
Love his tape. 6'6", 330, one of the best pass protecting offensive linemen. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the first round, even though a lot of these scouting websites have him as a second round grade. Ties to Boston College. Ozzie Trapillo, right? He plays primarily right tackle. That's someone you could redshirt. 6'7", 310, has a similar build to Caleb McGarry. You give him a year to develop his pass protection, understand the scheme. That would be someone else. And then in day 3, Chase Lunt out of Connecticut.
Yes, out of Connecticut.
Massive. Has underrated speed to get to the second level for outside zone. So
essential for zone blocking too.
Right. Essential, which we probably, unless Zach Robinson and Raheem go to Dwayne Ledford and say, Dwayne, you got to open it up. We got to open it up and mix it up. Right? Yeah. We're preparing for another outside zone heavy year because we still have Dwayne Ledford as our run game coordinator. So these are names that if they're there in the early mid to second rounds, that would be someone I'd go for. So you don't have to sell the ship. Now, I personally would love Josh Connerly Jr. if we got an offensive tackle at the end of the first round, top of the second. So to me, yes, you could go back to your question. Yes, I think the Falcons are in prime position to take advantage of someone that wants to get their guy. Now, if their guy's Mike Green, I'm going to give him the double bird and say, I'm taking Mike Green.
Hell yeah, man. And some of Josh Connerly Jr.'s stats from Pro Day, or actually from the Combine and things of that nature, man. Just, 6'5", 311 pounds, wingspan, the kid's a total package at the tackle prospect
He's
position.
Got really quick feet.
He does, nimble feet.
He's able to keep his balance and make up for a pass rush against him. Now, it'd be funny. I've seen the comments if we drafted Mike Green and then drafted him as well, what that plane ride would look like, talking about their Senior Bowl moment. That would be a fun moment. But yeah. So look, can you highlight Jones Bones' comment right here?
Yep.
An offensive tackle in round 1 means he has to start. I agree. Problem is McGarry likely is an attractive trade bait with his salary, but they can cut him to save $14.5 million. Well, I'm gonna counter that with teams that have a luxury of abundance of money. Someone like the Patriots that may go left tackle in the first round. They trade for a right tackle on a 1-year deal. They've got their anchors on the outsides, and now Drake May has protection. So then in the later rounds, they can draft defense and more weapons for Drake May, right? So Absolutely. There are teams out there that I think would be willing to take on that money. Now that would lower the compensation, right? A lot of people I've seen float around, we can get a 3rd rounder. I think at best we can get a 4th rounder. A 4th rounder at best. But to Bones' point, if he is taken in the 1st round, I don't think this is a redshirt year. I think this would be a start. Now, if we traded up like we did for Rook last year, okay, now let's take some time. Let's develop him. Of course, there's going to be an uproar from the fans. Oh, we traded up for this guy. He's not starting. What's going on? We're paying McGarry, blah, blah, blah. Guys, we're not in the office. We're not in the building to hear the conversations, right? We can only get from what the insiders provide us, but we have to – this will be year 2 of Raheem and Terry, right? They have a plan that they've come together with, and this is year 2. I will say, though, for those that are listening, this is a playoff year. We have to make the playoffs this year.
Have to.
I'm just going to put that out there.
Not unfortunately, it is a goddamn.
It is reality.
It is reality. Absolutely. Glory Hands, what is going on? Straight from home, from La Isla, man. How you doing? Hope all is well with you, man. Haven't talked to you in a bit, man. But yeah, man. Do you guys have high hopes for Trice? And I think we'll touch on Trice when we start to talk about some of the edge prospects a little bit later on. I think we need to temper expectations, and myself and Broto, we'll talk a little bit about that. But what we will highlight now is Michael Penix is him. According to Justin Simmons, the former Falcons safety who was on Up and Adams this morning, had some kind words to say about our, we can't call him a rookie, but now our 2nd-year QB, and I quote, whatever it is, he has it. Referencing Michael Penix, talked about some back and forth that they had in training camp, just some stuff that he's seen, some throws that he's seen from this quarterback, our quarterback, Michael Penix, that he hasn't seen. So within that was an interesting question by Kay Adams, with Justin Simmons, and, what truly did happen with the Falcons, with his Falcons tenure. And I quote, things sometimes just don't align how you want him to. And I know Bro Talk's going to go on this one because I think he's honing in on a specific individual who is not here anymore. But overall, he did not shut the door on a possible Falcons return. Now, there are teams that can seek his services. One team makes sense is the Philadelphia Eagles. There's ties to him in Philly. Vic Fangio, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson being traded. So there is a vacancy in their secondary there as well. But does Justin want to go back to where he could potentially find more comfort in this Jeff Ulbrich scheme this up-and-coming year? But Bro Talk, man, who was he talking about, man? Who do you think he was actually talking about? Ron Thomas, what's going on, brother?
Well, there were a lot of people that he mentioned, and he gave praise to, right? You mentioned Michael Penix Jr. He praised Raheem and his vision and his ability to lead the team. He praised Terry Fontenot and the vision he has for the team. But that certain individual that he didn't mention, a lot of people now call him James Lake, former defensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons, right? Some people still call him Jimmy. I call him Jimmy because that's what I know him as. James is his name. And yes, it seems like their visions did not align. And, I put out a tweet laughing saying he didn't like him at all. And I'm not going to name names, but there was a Falcon player that liked my tweet, essentially confirming that the defensive room did not care for Jimmy Lake. And I'm pretty sure that held a lot of weight for Raheem to let him go and bring someone else in. Because if he didn't, not only would he lose the fan base even more, he'd probably lose his defensive room. So Raheem had a lot of weight on his shoulders to make it. I know a lot of people are saying, why did we hire Jimmy? First time play caller.
Yeah.
You know, we knew we had an issue there. How could you do this? Well, when you're put in a position, you know, Berto's a manager in real life. I've been a manager in real life. Yep. When you've been around people for a certain amount of time, you have belief in that person.
Absolutely.
Right? They show you attributes. They show you things that they're doing behind the scenes to say, okay, I'm willing to take a chance on you. He took a chance on Zach Robinson. Now, to Zach Robinson's credit, he still has work to do as well.
Yep.
Improve his play calling, scenarios, etc. But he worked out. He worked out, meaning Raheem was 50% on his coordinator hires. Okay?
Right.
Sometimes you're wrong, and that's a part of life. You're not always going to be right, right? Look at the Philadelphia Eagles prior to the Super Bowl year. Who did Nick Sirianni have as his coordinators, right? I don't even remember their names. He got rid of them. He brought in 2 new ones. Both of them worked out, and they won a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
That's the league. Sports are fluid. It doesn't always work out. Sure, maybe, you know, you could have had someone telling Raheem, are you sure, Raheem? Raheem, when he feels strongly about something, he's going to go with it, right? Now, I will say he's grown and willing to listen to people, but if he was, listen, he was with Jimmy Lake and Zach Robinson. I'm going to end it right here because I'm going on a rant.
Oh, you're good.
With the Rams, so they worked hand in hand all the time. Jimmy Lake was the assistant head coach in LA before he came over. So he was learning under Sean McVay, one of the greatest coaches in the NFL. So Raheem, seeing the body of work that he's putting in with the Rams and what they're producing on the field, sure, we're buddies. Me and you can have a conversation without there being friction, right? Me and Berto, you know, we can have serious conversations and say, okay, I hear you, now hear me. And then we come to an agreement, right?
Yep.
But even at that point, it's like, hey, Jimmy, it's not working out. Got to let him go.
Gotta let him go, man.
Different friend, Jeff Ulbrich.
Jeff Ulbrich. Let's see what Jeff Ulbrich and company, Jeff Ulbrich himself can do for this Falcons defense. But let's not move away so quick from the Justin Simmons possibility, right? So, you know, 62 tackles last year, 2 INTs, bringing his INT totals to 32. Still, you know, not the ball hawk that we're all accustomed to, but I think that was more scheme deprived, if anything. Who knows what he can do in a Jeff Ulbrich system. But if we do bring him back, right, just signing Jordan Fuller, what do we do with a guy like DeMarco Hellams? That to me is like the ultimate wild card. Is there a position change for Hellams, or are we still trialing the error or doing a trial by basis at the safety spot for him?
I think the Falcons are at a point where they're bringing in bodies to compete in spots where they're kind of, I wouldn't say unsure of, but they want to see, you know, they want to bring out the best, right? And who knows? I mean, we're all under the assumption that Jordan Fuller's the starting safety next to Bates. That could be far from the truth that Hellams has a better camp than Fuller does. Fuller could be the backup, or Fuller could get cut. You know, I believe his contract's not guaranteed, so if they cut him, they save the money, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing with D. Alford, right? They brought D. Alford, everyone was up in arms. He understands what they want and what they need, so of course they're going to bring him back to try and bring out the best in someone like Natron Brooks and Clark Phillips, someone that's going to be battling for the nickel back position. So I'm not going to rule out DeMarco Hellams completely out. Now, if he doesn't have a good camp, well, you've been demoted to special teams, buddy. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that because special teams matter, right? And that you just never know, right? If he's on the team and understands injuries in the NFL are inevitable. Hopefully, knock on wood, it doesn't happen to the Falcons, but the mentality is next man up. And if, you know, it happened to Hellams, I'm sure they had a big plan for Hellams last season. And that's why they signed Justin Simmons, because he broke his ankle, right?
Right. And like to Jones Bones' point, right? We don't know if he's going to be back to 100% coming back from that injury. Ankle injuries are tricky, and we just don't know. We just don't know, right? But I gotta dial it back a bit. You talked about special teams. Listen, we have the greatest special teams on the planet. There is no room right at this moment. We are at the very neck of players added for the special teams. So no more special teams, God damn it. Unless it's a kicker, which we already have somebody in here.
We signed him, right?
We signed him. Yep, we did. We certainly did. And now we go to the point where we have to talk edge. the sole consensus of the Falcons being is edge. Boy, do the Falcons need to nail this pick? Yes, right? I think you mentioned it best. It's playoffs or bust, right, for these Atlanta Falcons this year. And Raheem quoted earlier today, which kind of, threw a wrench in things, and how you go about getting a pass rusher, not necessarily drafting one at 15, but it's how you acquire your pass rush. Bro Talk has a scenario for that, but let's talk about the possibilities at 15. As it stands, Mike Green, heavily linked to the Atlanta Falcons, heavily linked. A lot of social media outlets have this guy as the consensus pick for these Atlanta Falcons at 15. But if not Mike Green at 15, then who else might there be out in the edge prospect world for these Atlanta Falcons at 15? Or is this a situation where if their guy's not there, do the same as you would if you're targeting a tackle and trade back? Any names out there that pique your interest for the Falcons there, bro?
So I think touching on Raheem's quote, right? You can never predict the draft, right? Obviously, they were ones you couldn't predict. Taking a quarterback at 8, Michael Penix Jr., right? Couldn't have predicted that. Nobody did. I think Mel Kiper Jr. was the only one, but I don't even think he had them taking him at 8, but he did predict that. What he's saying there is, for all they know, all the guys that they have on their board as the players they're willing to take at 15, Jalen Walker, Mykel Williams, Mike Green, Abdul Carter. Obviously, they know he's going to be gone, but they still have him on their board. Malachi Starks, Jahad Campbell, like all these guys that they want, they could all be gone. So what do? Right? They don't want to reach on a guy, right?
Yeah.
So in that scenario, that's where the trade back becomes like super enticing for other teams, or they switch their gears to defensive tackle, right? Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, right? Walter Nolan has the character issues, right?
Yep.
But you put him with someone like Raheem Morris and Nate Ali that's worked with some great offense or defensive linemen.
Defense. Yep.
They can shape him up. Walter Nolan only turned 21. He's still a kid, right?
We
were, for all our guys out there, right? We still make knuckleheaded decisions, right? Just not at the magnitude we did when we were kids, right? You just need someone to navigate it. So that could be somewhere they shift to. I'm fully prepared for them to take an offensive tackle. To me, Kelvin Banks Jr. is not someone I would want to go with. To me, he's a guard in the NFL.
Yep.
Personally. So I'd much rather them, instead of going edge or linebacker if they're not there, or safety for that matter, the one safety that could be there. Hey, you know what? Jahdae Barron, are you there? Will Johnson, are you there?
You there?
Right? If not, defensive tackle. Invest in the trenches on the defensive line, right? Because pass rush, right? What does Jalen Carter do for the Eagles, right? Everyone loves to bring up Jalen Carter. He frees up the edges. He gives the edges the one-on-ones.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so that's what's important. So if you switch to a Kenneth Grant, if you switch to a Walter Nolan, if you switch to a Derek Harmon, right? All those guys can give you that and still be productive and can still withhold double teams in the run game.
Right.
So the options are there. Raheem is just saying, if the edge rushers are gone that we want, just don't be surprised if we shift our focus to something else.
Yeah. Donovan Azarako, does he pique an interest, or in a trade back, is he more logical for you?
Trade back for me. I think 15 is a little too sweet for me. To me, I've seen people compare him to, and I see it. It's Arnold Ebiketie. He has a similar build to Dallas Turner as well.
Yep.
Last year, long arms, longer arms, wingspan than you're accustomed to based off his height.
Yep.
Plays similarly. I do like what I saw on tape. He sheds block easier. He uses his length to his advantage to prevent offensive linemen from fully locking onto him. But if he is locked onto, like fully, it's hard for him to get free. But he's got good tape. If we trade back into the 20s and we take Donovan Azarako, I think it's a win.
It's a win. Yeah. 16.5 sacks for BC last year. Just as impactful, in the pass rush department as Mike Green for Marshall, which he posted 17 sacks. And now we had a conversation about, okay, let's just say Mike Mike Green is the guy at 15 for these Atlanta Falcons. Now what, right? Tempering expectations, I think, should be at the forefront for every single one of these edge rushers. And why? Let's go back to last year's edge class. Jared Verse, okay, defensive rookie of the year. He only had 4 sacks.
4.5 sacks.
4.5 sacks. Chop Robinson, 6 sacks for the Dolphins. Lateu Latu, who was heavily linked to the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons were going to be bold and trade all the way back up to acquire him, only had 4 sacks for the Colts. But I know, if I'm not mistaken, he did battle some soft tissue injuries, which kept him away for a couple games.
He didn't play as much as like a Gerard Verse or Chop Robinson.
Yep. And then Dallas Turnham, another guy heavily linked to the Atlanta Falcons, only ended the year with 3 sacks. But on that Minnesota defensive line rotation, he did play limited sacks, but just 3 sacks. So what do we face? Well, what are we looking at in this year's class? Kind of the same thing. I don't think that, these guys off the rip are going to land you 10 sacks. They're just not. There's got to be, you got to find ways, and the blueprint exists with how the Rams use Jared Verse. You're not going to get the favorable one-on-ones all the time, but hell, how do we utilize him as a Swiss Army knife in year 1 and just allow him to wreak havoc all up and down defensive lines, shooting him up gaps, which, the Rams did it a lot of the times. If he wasn't pressuring from the outside, he played that, not I'm not going to say he played, but he did line up in that tweener role where he was, inside of the tackle shoulder. That's the creativity you have to get with a Mike Green, a Donovan Ezeraku, hell, even a Michael Williams if he's available. But what do you say as far as the production, being, the expectation of production from these year 1 edge rushers or these round 1 edge rushers?
So I think everyone has to have the expectation that, just like you said, double-digit sacks almost never happen for a rookie. Is it impossible? No. We've seen it happen. Defensive rookie of the year, I think TJ Watt might have been the last one, maybe Micah Parsons, right? But if we get a 6 or 7 sack season from Mike Green, I think that's a win, right? And he only goes up from there. And as far as being a Swiss Army knife, it's where he lacks and still needs to develop. I think he's good, but he can be better, is against the run, right? So bringing him in key passing situations, right? Your NASCAR quote unquote package, right?
Yep.
Leonard Floyd, Mike Green, Arnold Ebiketie, and then you have Morgan Fox, right? That's a big offensive lineman's nightmare because they can speed right past you. So bringing him in key passing situations, key moments where it's going to be a pass, let him go to work, and he uses his first year to develop against a run, understanding leverage, understanding pad level, understanding the speed and the looks that he's getting, learning under Nate Ollie, and then also working and dropping into coverage. You guys have to be prepared. Just because Gerard Verse did it, Lateu Latu did it, Dallas Turner did it, all these guys that are primarily edge rushers, they still dropped into coverage. And that's something he didn't really do at Marshall, that he would have to learn what to do, what to look for, keys on the receivers, keys on, pre-snap, things like that, know when to bail to actually sell, an offensive lineman to kick out and giving his, simulated pressure, whether it's Caden Ellis, Divine Diablo, or whoever the linebacker is, a chance to get to the quarterback. So using year 1, do your thing. We know you can pass rush. Get in there on 3rd down, 2-minute drill. Get in there, and we'll use year 1 to develop you. So year 2 would be the real, encompassing, okay, now we're creeping up on being the starter at that point.
Right. Jay Diaz, what's going on, my brother? Nice to see you here, man. It's been a minute, bro. Yeah, man. So, again, Mike Green, heavily linked to the Atlanta Falcons, gave you some more names, Donovan Ezeraku as well. But day 2, day 3 gems or potential edge guys that we can be looking at, down the line. To remind the folks again, Falcons stayed pat at 15 with no trade. We only have 5 picks: a 1, a 2, a 4. A 1, a 2, a 4, and 2 7s.
Yep.
And that's all she wrote. So yeah, we have to be really precise on how we attack each and every one of our needs. So day 3. Let's look at day 3, some gems that are potentially there. Even day 2, some guys that are starting to pique your interests that may be around for these Falcons to choose from.
You and I have talked about him, David Walker, out of Central
David Walker,
Arkansas, right? A lot of people don't like the smaller school names, but you know what? We always say it: scout the player, not the helmet. And he's got a great pass rush package. Watching him at the combine through the drills, no wasted movement. He's going to be a day 3 guy. Could sneak into the end of day 2, but someone that had production at Central Arkansas, moved from off ball to edge, moved from interior to edge. He's got the whole package. He reminds me of Brandon Graham. Short, stocky, but powerful, and can beat you off the edge. His cross chop is one of the best that I've seen. The kid from UCLA, Oluwafemi Oladejo. First year, kind of like Abdul Carter. Fresh on the edge position. He has a motor. He has the attributes. He's a smart kid. It could be a day 3 guy that could sit kind of like a Brandon Dorless, develop, hone in his skills, all those things. That's someone there. And someone that I'm high on, but I have concerns because of injury, is Quandarius Robinson out of Alabama.
Yeah, Q Robinson, yes.
Q Robinson, 6'5", 245. He's got that prototypical edge size, and he's got such a quick step, great bend, great length. I'd be willing to use our 4th rounder on him and let him develop. Maybe rotate him in again on key passing situations. You just got to bring speed, man. He would have to work against the run, but he also played a little bit of off-ball backer, kind of at the line of scrimmage, but not really on the, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what to call it exactly. It almost looks like a mug look in the A gap, but he moves laterally really well. But I will say, if another guy that's a little bit undersized, if the offensive lineman's able to grab a hold, he lost that rep, But those are guys I would look at as far as day 3 guys, possible day 2 guys. I'm looking at someone like Kyle Kennard, JTT out of Ohio State. I like JTT more than I like Jack Sawyer. The reason is JTT's a pocket collapser. He's a powerful guy. Think Braylon Trice, but just a little bit more twitch.
Yep.
Right?
Good. Yeah.
You have Trice, you have JTT on one side, the strong side, the guys that are going to collapse the pocket. You have Ebiketie, and you have, someone else on the other side that can rotate in, Leonard Floyd this year, Mike Green, whoever, right? You want a collapser on one side and you want a speed guy on the other. That seems to work in the NFL. But Kyle Kennard, I really liked his tape, especially when it went up against Will Campbell, who's supposed to be a day 1 starter.
Had some good reps.
They had some good battles there. I think he got 2 sacks against Will Campbell. So that's a guy that really piqued my interest for day 2.
I got a guy that is day 2, but could very well be day 1, but late in the first, and that's Nick Scowerton out of Texas A&M. Played on a great Aggies defensive line. The Shamars that are there, took up most of the national attention. But Nick Scowerton, no pushover, guy that can play with the hand in the dirt, standing up. He's a tweener in my eyes. He's a guy that can play as an end and as a DT. And you definitely need, you need something. You need some pass rush juice, and I think Nick has plenty of that. Some day 3 guys, Jared Ivey, Jordan Birch, maybe. Those are guys that have that prototypical build of a 4-3 defensive end. These are guys at 6'5" and 6'6".
You know who Jared Ivey reminds me of? Danico Autry.
Oh, I love Danico Autry, man.
Can kick out to the 5, but can also kick into the 3 with a speedier guy next to him. He did that, right? Lining up with
Indianapolis.
Wait, what?
In Indianapolis, when he played, he played alongside. Who did he play alongside in Indianapolis?
He does it with Houston now.
He does it with Houston now, but in his earlier times, I believe he used to kick in also for the Indianapolis. Was it Indianapolis Colts or the Tennessee Titans? I might have the teams confused. Maybe it's Tennessee.
Yeah. But, Ivy did the same thing playing with Princely, and then also sometimes he would be on the same side as Walter Nolan, right? So he can do a little bit of both. So I like him. I kind of don't want to take him for the fact that Zach Harrison could do the same thing. We already have a guy that could do the same thing, I want more speed. It feels like we have a lot of power on the defensive front. So I want speed, right? That's why we signed Leonard Floyd. That's why we have Ebiketie. That's why we drafted Ebiketie. Whoever said D'Angelo Malone, was this one of your guys, Tony Wright?
Tony Wright's my guy.
Right? I wish I had a tomato, like a fake tomato to throw at you. Stop that. Right?
Oh man,
that experiment's over. Okay.
think so, maybe.
Last year on the team.
Winston Jr. Day 3. Are we talking the safety out of Penn State? Kevin Winston Jr.
I think you said the ACL scares you.
Yeah, the ACL does scare me on this kid, but man, what a productive safety, man. One missed tackle I think he had to finish out his collegiate career with Penn State. He's Johnny on the spot. That's what I can call him. Yep, he's the safety. That's the guy out of Penn State. It's the kid from Virginia, Jonas Sanker. He's climbing up draft boards as well. Now we're getting away from edge and talking, prospects in the safety.
Calm down. Draft is 2 weeks away.
Yo, for sure, man, for sure. But some names there on the edge that we can potentially see down the line for these Atlanta Falcons. Again, it's a loaded class, man, for the edge group. Interior edge. You can really do some work. Speaking of doing work, my guy, Big Low Country Sports, the Tribal Chief is in the house. What is going on, Big Low Country? Make sure, please, man, go to Big Low Country Sports on YouTube and hit that man with the subscribe and some love, man, because he does it. He does it better than nobody else, man. The Tribal Chief himself. Yeah, it's a wrestling phase.
Hey. Hey, man. I'm still in the know when it comes to stuff like that.
I got you.
Religiously, like some other people, but I know who the Tribal Chief is.
Yeah, man, for sure, man. Oh man, what else you want to add on to today's shenanigans? Let's just say.
Well, I put this out there.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if the chat saw it. Certain teams could do certain things this year in the draft, right?
Sure.
And this would make people the odd man out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A la, a lot of reports are saying Travis Hunter is now going to be the number 2 pick, right? Which would essentially make Abdul Carter the number 3 pick, right?
To the Giants?
For the Giants.
Okay.
Who do they already have at edge, Berto?
Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Right?
Another Oregon guy.
The Oregon guy, Duck, right? Using the number 3 pick on a guy like that, you want him in there, involved, right? Could there be a scenario where the Giants have all 3 on the field? Yeah, there could be, right? But I think it makes Kayvon Thibodeau the odd man out. They just paid Brian Burns. He's going into his 4th year of his deal, still has the 5th year option.
Mm-hmm.
What say you, Berto, if the Falcons offered up their 4th round pick and potentially a 2026 4th round pick to land themselves Kayvon Thibodeau? What say you?
I am on board. Young elite pass rushers like him don't become available oftentimes, right? And you run into a situation where it's a need for the Falcons. You can secure the future potentially if it plays well. Falcons just so happen to have some money coming in 2026. It's perfect business for me. So yeah, shit, why not?
Right.
Why not?
He's younger, right? His production has kind of fallen off
a little bit.
Sometimes players need a fresh scenery. He brings a little bit of an attitude that people have wanted in Atlanta on the defensive front. Is he going to be this like all-pro guy? I would say probably not. Maybe a Pro Bowl level type guy.
Sure.
Right? But
I'll take that.
It's youth, right? So you get a guy that's been in the league. You have tape on him. You know what he can do.
Right.
Rather than using it on a 4th rounder who could be a gem, right? That's what the draft is, right? You're going off what you think is right, and sometimes it works and it doesn't. But let me switch gears to someone a little bit older. A little bit older, right? I tweeted this out on March 9th, literally a month ago. People called me crazy. They called me a fool. Well, that certain person I brought up posted a cryptic message on Instagram today. And I'm talking about TJ Watt.
Sheesh.
The guy that everyone clamored the Falcons should have taken. Could the Falcons right the ship and the mistake of Tack McKinley and bringing in TJ Watt, who is still in Defensive Player of the Year conversations, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to land yourself Hendrickson, right? Apparently they're working out a deal.
Right.
The front office seems to be out on Micah Parsons. Would you then ship to TJ Watt? And Berto, what would you be willing to give up? to land yourself TJ Watt.
I'm pretty aggressive, man, and I would definitely dangle that 15th overall pick this year. A guy that's been trade bait for the better part of a year in Kyle Pitts, and another. I'd give up 2 firsts and Kyle Pitts to still go and get TJ Watt. Give it to me.
2 firsts?
Hell yeah. 100%.
You can throw in Kirk.
Go get him.
TJ Watt. I mean, Aaron Rodgers still hasn't signed, right? Right?
Screw it.
Imagine if the Steelers did have 15 and 21, right? They could get their defensive tackle or edge guy to replace TJ.
Oh, yeah.
And then they could draft, Jalen Milroe, who apparently they're going to draft.
Oh, God.
They're going to draft him, dude. I don't know what to say.
Hey, listen. Hey, look, man, that sounds as bold. That sounds as bold as Michael Penix to the Falcons last year. And guess what? It worked out.
Right? The kid got invited to the draft, the green room.
Big Low knows about it.
The NFL has limited the amount of spots. So now, if you get invited and you accept, you're essentially telling the world, I'm a first rounder, whether it's the top of the first round or the bottom of the first round. Right? I really think he'll be an end of the first round scenario. But if the Falcons did trade 15 for TJ Watt, that gives them more flexibility to say, yeah, we can take a chance on a quarterback in the first round, whether it's him or Jackson Dart, right? And to Terry's point, right, they don't have another running back. They have Jalen Warren, who is the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, Mr. Artie.
Mr. Artie, he loves himself some Tyler, and he knows Tyler will hit the gaps like he wants to, not like Najee Harris. Hence why they didn't exercise his 5th round, his 5th year, and they let him walk. Right?
I love Tony Wright, man. He just rails it all back in.
I will say this, Berto.
Yeah.
If maybe we can get this done if we offer next year's first rounder, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then maybe this year's second. Right? A first and a second, I think, right? You can get that done. You pay TJ Watt, who his contract won't take effect until next season.
Yeah.
Where the books open up completely.
176 plus mil. Just saying.
Right, Big Low?
Yeah.
He would love to have Tyler. Right? He would be salivating at the fact that he'd have Tyler. And Tyler would go to a place where the Steelers have a pretty good offensive line.
Yeah.
You imagine Tyler with Jalen Milroe handing him off the ball? Or Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers would be the guy first year, right? Yeah. Tyler's probably thinking, like, I don't know if Lou's still in here, but Tyler's probably thinking, like, man, I got to go from one old guy to another. I was about to play with Michael Penix Jr., man.
Oh, man. Bro, I don't know, man. I think the chances are better of the unicorn getting ousted out of Atlanta than Tyler.
I think there would have been a better shot if Pittsburgh was the trade candidate if they didn't trade for DK. Now it's like you got three mouths to feed, and 2 divas at wide receiver that don't like to share.
Yeah, they don't like to share.
We know then that. Kyle, he needs his touches early in the game to get his confidence and get him to play full tilt.
Yeah,
he's on a contract year. Who knows? Is TJ married? It's hard to live in Atlanta. I think TJ is married. He doesn't have to live here. He just needs to rent a house. Why is it hard to live in Atlanta?
Oh, man.
Why is it hard, Berto?
I'm not going to say.
I mean, I could say the same thing. It's hard to live in Dallas. Not really.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of lore and excitement in the great city of Atlanta. There is a special place where special women make it rain, make it clap. If you know what I mean.
You think TJ is going to do that, man? He's like his brother. He probably just goes and plays and goes home. That's it.
Who knows, man? Who knows, brother? Lemon pepper wings are the die for.
How quick do you think David Onyemata would get off that number 90?
Today. Shit. Oh man. Who knows? They might oust him just to, save some caps.
Oh my gosh, that would be it. You know what, David? We thought about keeping you, but we got TJ Watt on the way here. So
oh man. But what a ballsy turn of events that would be, right? If the Falcons decided to shift focus and, just pick up the phone. Hey, Pittsburgh, what's it going to take to take him off of your hands?
Now, the likelihood of them trading him is very small. Like I'm not saying this is a realistic thing, but he did post this cryptic image of him peacing out when he was leaving a game. Yeah. And that may be him just trying to leverage the Steelers. Like, absolutely, hey, you guys are taking too long to get this done. They did the same thing with Cam Hayward. It took all the way, I think, after the draft, just before camp started, for them to get a deal done and make him happy. I think it happens again. Same thing with Trey Hendrickson, Michael Parsons. So, we like to give you guys some fun scenarios to think about, right? But also like to remind you that these are just scenarios. The likelihood of it happening is not high, right? Not high. We're more likely to we're more likely to trade for I don't know, their backup, to TJ Watt.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately.
I mean, we got 2 seconds. Why not, right?
Man, why not, man? Let's see. Tony Wright. There he is. Why not trade our first-round pick to Jacksonville, giving them 2 first rounds in exchange for outside linebacker Trayvon Walker, and Jacksonville's second-round pick, number 36. I mean,
again, these are all scenarios. You can make this up, but
I just don't see how he would even be available either. This is a guy that sack numbers have been going up every year since he's been in the league.
And they exercised his 5th year, which indicates that they want to keep him there, right? It's the same thing with Pitts, right? We exercised his fifth year, his 5th year option on his rookie contract. So it just shows you that they want him there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will Sawyer even last till after the 1st? Yes. Jack Sawyer is falling on boards. Okay.
Sure. Big time. That's could be day 3 guy in some boards, or who knows.
Listen, Terry. This isn't a Batman and Robin show. This is a Superman and Batman. Okay. This is a Superman and Batman show. Okay. This is a Justice League meeting. Okay. You decide who's Batman and who's Superman.
That's on you, brother. That's crazy, man. Oh, man. But definitely, man, this was absolutely fun, man. Definitely. Just something quick, man, just to get the mind churning, mind thinking, possible scenarios, some edge prospects to look after. Will the Falcons do the unthinkable and actually take an offensive tackle round 1, to highlight some of the stuff that we recapped today or this evening? Also, the Michael Penix talk from earlier today with Justin Simmons on the Up and Adams show earlier this morning. The doors completely not closed on a Justin Simmons return, and that could be a great return on investment with the new defensive scheme in play, and Justin Simmons being a veteran in the league, and we all know how Coach Rod loves his veterans on this ball club. So, bro, anything you want to add before we head out this evening, man?
Kirk Cousins, I hope you like Cleveland, man. You're getting traded soon. TikTok, buddy. TikTok.
Not the social media TikTok. Right. We're talking.
Count your days, buddy. Your father-in-law's probably been in your ear saying, "Wave the claws."
Oh, wait. Hey, wait, hold on. Going from Foxy Lady to Magic City, I wouldn't pass that up. Damn. Jay Diaz, my friend, you are a true Rhode Islander, man, and I'm there with you, brother. Yes, man. Oh, man, but yes, where can the folks find you on the socials, man?
Oh, Dirty Bird Central on YouTube and TikTok. TikTok is daily NFL content, not just Falcons. If you want to know what's going on in the NFL, that's where you can find me. Dirty Bird Central on YouTube is more Falcon centralized on the long form content, and the handle right here.
There you go.
BK Squared 7 on the Bird app, right? We still call it the Bird app. Daily tweets. Hourly tweets about what's going on in the league, give you my thoughts, insights, and you can comment on my posts. I try and respond the best I can, but sometimes you guys flood me, and I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Definitely, man. One of the better minds in the game. So definitely appreciate any time spent with you, Bro Talk. Definitely appreciate it. As you already know, reporting eligible is the tandem. I'm your boy Berto, host of the 95 North Falcons talk show on YouTube. You can also find me as the official Falcons content creator on Bleacher Report every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time, Falcons Weekly Topical. Next week, mock draft time for Bleacher Report. So definitely, man, tune in for that. So until then, man, we'll definitely try and cook something up for next week. Actually, we do have something coming up next week. Care to give the folks a little bit of an insight?
Yeah, so lucky enough, right? The Falcons Pro Day is this Friday on the 11th. And lucky enough, I've been in contact with a certain prospect. They're not this day one, day two prospect, guys, but it is a prospect that the Falcons want to see work out. His name's Andreas Keaton, defensive back at Temple. He has committed to be here on the show next Wednesday. So we'll get to talk to him about his experience in the Falcons Pro Day and, you know, what it looks like to be a prospect in this draft process. So exciting times.
Some cool stuff. Definitely looking forward to that. Should be a great one. Eric, thank you so much, man. We definitely try our best, man, to deliver whenever we possibly can. Our brother, Big Low Country, man, down the line, we will have you on at some point. So that way we could get this thing on and cracking, man. Tony Wright, thank you so much, man. Michael, again, thank you. Without y'all, there ain't no us, man. And for all of us as content creators as well, make sure you support all Atlanta Falcon content creators. Everybody across the board does a phenomenal job with their takes and their insights. But until then, we'll give you a Wednesday evening back. And look out for us, man, next Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern time. So from Bro Talk, Berto, we'll talk to y'all soon, man. Peace, everybody. Where's the end button on this damn thing? What the hell is that? What is that? That's what happens when you have Apple product, man.